All right, everybody. I'm so excited. We have Chris Leon here of Six Lions Clothing here in Salt Lake City. And I am elated that this is one of the first podcast episodes that I'm recording. It's going to be on YouTube as well. Check it out. Chris, welcome. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So some of the stuff we're already going to go over again because we just recorded your podcast, but let's talk a little bit. So I found you while I was doing $1.80 strategy. Which is Gary Vee's thing about growing your gram. So I'm leaving comments on a lot of like Instagram hashtags, and yours was Salt Lake. And I noticed your branding. I noticed your logo. Everything was so tight and clean. And I commented. I think you probably commented back, and then I think I posted about you in the stories, right? So that's how I found you. I was so happy to do it. I am so interested. So we haven't talked about this yet, though. Like, tell me about the clothing brand thing and how you got started and how long it's been.
So I started it in 2017 after a breakup. I was at this gym and I was listening to Gary Vee, and somebody was asking him a question of like, hey, I want to like start a clothing brand of selling, shirts and stuff, of like inspirational things on shirts. And I was like, just listening. And I was like, dude, I could do that. That sounds so easy. Because I was like, oh, I can do that like nothing.
Yeah.
And so Gary's like, all right, well, first you have to realize that why are people going to care about you? Like, why should people care? Like, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have to give out a bunch of stuff for free. And I was just like, oh, my God, look at this guy. He's getting like, so like, Gary's nailing him. Like, so, he's telling him the truth. And I was like, dude, I could do that so easy. And so I think that following fall, I like, went to school and stuff or something like that, and then I think I dropped out and I started doing the clothing brand because I thought it was easy.
This is like 2017, you're saying?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So I dropped out of college and I was like, I'm gonna do this, and then I didn't do it. I didn't do it for a while.
Really?
Yeah, I think I did. I started it, but I was like doing stuff here and there, and I didn't realize how to do the clothing. So I was like, do I do drop shipping? Do I like have this stuff at my house? Like, there's so many ways to do it. And I would go around, actually, before I even bought any clothes, I would go around touching everybody's shirt. And I'd look at people's shirts and be like, why do you like that shirt? And they're like, what do you mean? I have to wear clothes. I'm like, what? No. Like, why do you like it? Like, what the seams and stuff? They're like, I don't know. It feels comfortable. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So then I started taking notes. I even went to like Nike and I took a bunch of pictures of their tags. Of like what they were using, and I was like, dude, this is like basic stuff. Yeah. So then
as far as the blends, right? The blends of the clothing.
Yes. So then at that time also, I was like doing meetings at coffee shops with a bunch of people. We were calling it the Tuesday night meetings, and it was just a bunch of people connecting. And I think at that time I did not drop out yet. Because I remember doing my math homework at the meetings when everyone was talking about like business and like connecting, and I was just like, this is so stupid, like, because I wanted to be a doctor, and so I was like doing math, and I was like, this is so stupid, I don't understand what I'm doing. And so and then I think that's when I was like, I shut my laptop and I was like, I'm gonna drop out. And so
that was the moment.
And so that by that time I already had all my clothes, but I wasn't doing anything with it.
Sitting on inventory.
Yes, and it was just sitting there, and I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, like. And so that's when I was like doing other projects. So I started in 2017, and for 2 years I was like doing social media marketing. I was doing flipping. I was doing Amazon, eBay, you name it. I tried to do a crepe business. I vlogged it all. I suck at cooking. It's just so bad. But yeah, so I was doing other projects other than that one thing that I wanted to do. Okay. And so then I interviewed my one friend to relaunch my podcast. And he actually told me the truth, and I was like, I just don't want to live with regret. I don't want to be 40 years old and be like, you remember when I had that clothing brand? I wonder what would have happened. Yeah. And so from then, I think the end of 2019, I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go all in. I'm not going to do any more projects. This is what I'm going to do. And so then, I just recently decided to be an athletic brand. And that's because that's the footnotes of my story with the brand.
Sweet. So that's okay. I have so many questions. Okay. No, you did great. No, we're going to dive. I think this is so valuable for anyone in this space or anyone starting a business. So, okay. So is that how you describe your clothing brand? Like, it is athletic wear? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, as people would know it, but I would say it's more of like just inspiring other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I agree with that. Oh, I hope I remember to come back to that one too. Okay, so what made you? What do you think was actually holding you back from those? You said 2016 to end of 2019. It took you to like really dive in. What, as you look back now, what do you think was actually holding you back from doing it? From like going full send on it?
It was excuse me. It was just me. I was afraid.
Okay.
So I was like, if I don't make it here, I can always fall back on this. So that's
So you
why
had
I
all
was
these
doing it.
fallback things that you were.
Yeah, and I was trying to do all these other things when in reality I didn't want to do them, but I just wanted to try them. And I'm not saying don't try them, because you could be the best tetherball player ever. I suck at tetherball, but you just never know if you don't try it. So I wanted to try it, but by trying it, I was like putting back the thing that I wanted to do, which is my clothes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. So a quote that I'm going to be talking about a little bit soon is two of them on fear. On the other side of fear is your freedom. So I want to come back to that in just a second. And this other one is we tiptoe. Hang on. We tiptoe through life, hoping to safely make it to death. So something struck me really hard. One of my biggest fears is regret. I The amount of verbiage we use the same, I think, because of Gary Vee is like so cool. Like we're basically best friends, and it's been 50 minutes, but so I love that. So you recognize that you were scared, and so was it the regret conversation where your buddy was like, "Yo, dude, like what are you doing actually?" Is that what happened? Like, and you finally realized like, okay, if I don't do this, like the pain of not doing it and living with regret was greater than the fear of failing.
Yes, yes, and I actually I think mid conversation when he was like talking to me, I'm a documenter, and so I documented that whole conversation, and I haven't posted or shared it or anything because it's like almost like too real.
Yeah.
It's like it's just I don't know if a lot of people will understand, but the select few that will, I think it's very impactful. So I'll probably have to share that and put it together in a little video, like an IGTV video or something. But yeah, that you're right. The fear of regret was a lot greater than failing.
So, okay, so 2019, this is like just pre-pandemic. You're launching your clothing brand. So, how did you finally decide what you were going to be about? Like, had you already decided it was going to be inspiration? Like trying to inspire others?
I did want. I
Okay.
wanted to do inspiration, but I didn't know because there's so many clothing brands, especially here in Utah. I didn't realize it. There's so many brands, but I was just like, what? I want to be able to stick out. I want to be different. So I was like, I'm gonna document my life more, and so I started vlogging a lot more. And then I was like, I'm gonna make a podcast, and I attached my podcast to my brand.
Yep.
And then, but at that time, I did not pick athleticism as
Okay.
my face
Okay.
of my clothing brand, and it wasn't until just recently, honestly.
Okay.
So I think it was like halfway through 2020. I was like, I'm gonna be an athletic brand.
Okay.
But I at first I didn't want to because I thought that was too easy. But I know I sometimes want to do things the hard way when everything is hard. So I'm like, so that's how I decided. I was just like, I'm just gonna just pick. That's it. That's what I'm gonna do. So now I'm actually in the process of ordering a bunch of stuff and taking more pictures, taking all the videos, and I do all that stuff myself. So it's like it takes a lot of time, but it's fun. I like to do it.
How are you printing? Are you going direct to garment? Are you doing screen printing? Are you doing both? What are you doing?
So right now I order it from a couple websites. Like I make it on the computer and then they ship it to me,
Okay,
or I do drop shipping as well. So I do
Oh,
both.
okay.
So I have inventory at my house and then I have inventory online.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna have to talk to you about this later, probably. But so with Thirst last fall, I've been talking to Ethan about this for a while. I was like, I want to do an apparel or lifestyle brand piggybacking off of Thirst. Because I think it could be huge because we are building this brand with Thirst and we have like this fun stuff about like being thirsty moms and like the Thirsty Nation. And so we played off of this thirsty theme and we did a thirsty launch to celebrate opening this. So we did like thirsty in Mill Creek, so I've got shirts that say thirsty in Mill Creek. I've got thirsty mom shirts. Anyway, I thought it would be easy.
Yeah.
Easy. So I'm so excited to actually pick your brain about kind of apparel stuff a little bit later, but let's talk about some other things first in transition, because I want to really get some nuggets out to people who are either starting a business, thinking about starting a business, or thinking about being inspired or motivated, because I love that about what you're doing. So so when you decided to start it, what did you start doing first? So you started documenting your life, you said, and then you attached your podcast. When did you start the podcast?
About almost like, well, I did it. I was doing it in college, but it was like I deleted all those. Not deleted. I took them off.
Yeah.
But just was like hopping on my phone and was like, hey, this is what happened today. You know, this is my perspective on it, and then just trying to give a positive outlook on it. So there were like little nuggets every day. And then I was like, no, I want to do a whole brand new podcast with like stories, people's stories, how they did things, and like, because I'm super attached to that. And I think that's very impactful. So I took all those videos or podcast episodes off, and I started over with my episode was the first one. And it was hard because I tried to like add certain things. Like I didn't add that I used to cut myself, which I have the marks here on my arms.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of them on my thighs.
Yeah, I heard that in your podcast.
Yeah, so I was just a completely different person. And so, yeah, so I think it was about, maybe a year and a half that I started doing my podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I'm like 20 episodes in.
That's freaking awesome. I love that. I knew when Ethan and I were brainstorming Thirst, I was like, we need to be recording all these conversations.
Yes.
And I didn't.
It's okay.
And I did it. And like, so, I mean, that would be 5 years worth of content. We do as much as we can now. And we documented a lot of this build out. I have a lot of vlogs I've never even released. Like I've just tons of like hard drives of content here. So like this place completely gutted, and then like the process and like, so I'm in the process right now of sending it, like getting it edited and kind of releasing it and trying to figure out what nuggets we can get from it. But so you decide to start your apparel company for real. I would assume you got your website up and going, like all that. Then how are you actually how are you getting the word out?
Through just social media.
Okay. So you obviously have one for your business, but if it's brand new, you know, you're feeding people from your personal to your business one, right? Because you're talking about that you started Six Lions.
Yeah, so that's what I did at first, and it's almost like I don't want to say two separate things, like my personal brand and then my clothing brand, like, but they're kind of similar. So a lot of people have that question of like, should I make my own page, my brand's page? And it just depends, I think. So for me, it works out to have two different things.
Yeah.
Because my brand is my brand, but at the same time, I am my brand.
Yeah. But to get those initial attention on the new brand, Six Lions, I would assume you kind of like, we're talking about it on your personal, you're pushing people over, hey, I just launched this, go check it out. So then how else, for 2020, for pandemic, Corona time, how are you getting attention there? How were you just on Gram? Were you doing lives? Did you jump on TikTok? Did you do any paid ads yet? Tell me about that process.
Yeah, so I was doing a bunch of ads. I haven't done one in a while, but I did do a bunch of ads, and people, it's always hard because, like I said, there's a bunch of clothing brands here in Utah,
Yeah.
so it's like, how do you stick out?
Yeah.
And because everything was closed, or a lot of things were closed, not as much anymore, but I thought story was huge.
Yeah.
So I started telling people about how I cut myself and how I just like changed my mindset from then. And so I started sharing that on my page, and like a lot of people were connecting with that. And then I shared the story of how I started my brand and all that stuff. So I started documenting like my story a little bit more, like in detail, instead of just like, hey, this is what I'm doing. It was more of like, this is what happened. This is how I cried in that video, and because I was like, I was put back into that place, and I was like, I just can't believe that I was like that.
Yeah.
And so I was almost just sharing more of my life on my brand's page. Okay. Because I felt I'm a little scared of like people knowing who I am under and who's like managing this clothing brand. So I don't know why. When I think I'm cool as hell. So it's like, I think it's just fear. Fear.
that I don't know if this is like what you're talking about, but like me talking about really investing time and money into building my personal brand. There's for me like some imposter syndrome a little bit. Like, why does anyone even care? So, but I know that I have some value to share with some things, but then also like definitely like how much do I share? Kind of. Because I think there's a balance and I try to be really real on my gram and share some bad days too, because as I've been doing $1.80, I was looking at, I was doing 90 comments on separate 90 pages a night. So I'm seeing 90 accounts a night. There's so much just like surfacey stuff. So I'm trying to find that balance. Is that kind of what you're talking about? Like how much do you share?
Yeah, I always try to share my personal stuff, and not if it ties with other people, I try not to share
Yeah.
because it's like
It's not your story to tell.
exactly 100%. So if it's more about me, then I will share it, and it's kind of hard because a lot, vulnerability is super scary, but it's also a superpower.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of people are like, because if I share like, oh hey, I cut myself and all that stuff, or I used to anymore, but then somebody's gonna connect with that because they're like, damn, I went through that too, and so yeah, and it happens. Like I'll go. I went once to get some food once, and somebody saw my wrist and they were like, dude, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, bro. Like this was a long time ago. Like I appreciate it, but I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, everything's good, and so like I connected with him, and so it's just.
So I'm gonna relate this to a couple things. So your clothing is so cool. Like tell us some of the headline, like some of the images, because I read some of them. Tell me what some of them are, like the taglines, I guess, on some of your brands that are inspiring.
So one of the ones that I have is called. It says discipline over motivation.
Oh, damn. I'm pretty sure I saw that one of the first nights, and I was like, I hadn't started 75 hard yet, but I'm big into this discipline thing. And I've been doing like daily exercise every single day for 2 years. And I'm sure I saw that one and I was like, follow. Like that just, okay, what else?
You're putting me on the spot. I can't think of anything.
So discipline over motivation. That's so delicious.
And I'm coming out with new stuff. That's what I'm working on right now.
Yeah.
But I haven't launched it yet because I want to launch these other episodes that I'm recording, the podcast.
Uh-huh.
So your episode will be out when all the other clothing comes out. And I'm thinking it'll come out like mid-March next month.
Okay, cool. So you're trying to tie this is what I understand. You're tying your story into this brand because like you had like this, as many people do, like these changes, these growth periods as you're growing up, which I want to talk about in a second. And you're trying to inspire others with the clothing brand. And the podcast is, the name of your podcast is what?
The Inspiration Station.
So you're releasing those podcasts and maybe some products at the same time. Is that kind of what you're doing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sick. I love that. Oh man, there's so many questions I have to ask. Okay, but this is so good. I'm trying to think about what someone would really want to dive into, but tell me about, I am interested in this. If you guys need to go listen to his podcast 100%. His first episode, he gives some background about himself, and he references anything that he's mentioned so far as cutting and some other things. I am interested in, when I was listening to it, I was wondering what happened, because I think people get in their own way. People might have that same story and not get past it and think they're a piece of crap for doing that themselves, or like still be dealing with whatever spurred that on or the results of doing that. And they might live in that mindset of like, that I think is damaging, that maybe isn't confident, or there's not a lot of self-worth there. That could be the case. I'm not sure. I know it is with some of my stuff. So that could be the case. So if I'm just hoping that this can connect with someone, I'm sure it will, but like, what was the shift? Because you said you had a pretty good childhood. And for some reason, when you were talking, it was like there was no real reason I could tell of like why I decided to do this, except for I was surrounding myself with maybe people who weren't the best. You mentioned listening to like certain types of music, but you still enjoy, but like you said that maybe had an effect. So tell me about, maybe give us a little bit of background about what I'm referencing so that they know like that time in your life. And then what was the shift? You mentioned your girlfriend that had some impact on you. I'm wondering if that was the big one, or if there was something that happened before that made you stop cutting and made you change friends or something.
Yeah, so I started cutting in like 8th grade, 2008, and it's so weird because I felt myself was like already a happy person.
Yeah.
I knew my life was good, but because like I was in school and like hanging out with all these friends and listening to all this stuff, I was like, I have to act a certain way.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll wear all black.
This is me now. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I guess we'll play Hawthorne Heights right now. Just like whip out the blades or whatever. But and so and like and I don't want to say like I'm joking around with it, but like I feel like I am allowed to do that to myself because I understand like I'm not like that anymore.
That's your story.
Yeah, and so I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I felt like I had to play this person, even though I knew I was not this person.
Okay.
And it had to do a lot with the people I was hanging out with.
Okay.
And I just remember I have a bunch of poems that I used to write about like killing myself and all that stuff. And that's what I didn't share. That I hung myself in my closet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I didn't share that because I was so scared that my parents would listen to it.
Yeah.
And so I didn't share it. And now, but I did share it's on my Instagram page, my personal one. It's like it says suicide. It's the highlight.
Okay.
And so yeah, I just went through it, walked what happened, and
okay. So you had those poems, and then this event happened. That's crazy.
yeah, and then I was just like, wow. I remember like if you watch it, I feel like I don't have enough time to go through that, but like if you follow that or watch that video, I literally go through like what happened, what I was thinking, how I woke up, and like I'm alive still and all that stuff. And so yeah, and so one day I was just like, I don't want to be like that anymore.
Yeah.
And I just stopped. And it was like going into ninth grade, and I was just like, I'm not gonna do that anymore, and I just stopped doing that.
Yeah.
And I started focusing more on like soccer and all that stuff because I remember I used to wear eyeliner and like people like on the I was on the varsity team, but I was a freshman, and so like we were playing against high schools, and they're like, oh my god, look at this kid, he's wearing eyeliner, and I was just like, they're making fun of me, and I was like, all right, and then I would like, play good, you know, so like it would shut them up, and then after I think that was like going into like high school, and then I just like completely 100% stopped cutting. I didn't do that anymore. And then as the other question that you said, like the complete shift of like changing to who I am now, like the start of it was after a breakup. And for me, I didn't, and I'm getting a lot better, but as being a man, like it's in society, like we're not supposed to show our feelings supposedly, so, and it's
just a bunch of crap, but it's totally the thing that happens, right? Boys don't cry. Just tough it up. I had this happen to me the other day at physical therapy. I'm in physical therapy. This 10-year-old's on the table, hurt his back, jacked his back really bad. And I'm worried about this kid, and he is talking to his physical therapist. And he's like, yeah, it hurts really bad to lay down like this. And the physical therapist is making a joke, trying to make light of it. He's like, I don't remember the kid's name. Hey, Thomas, toughen up. There's a girl in the room. And he points to me, and I was just like, I'm gonna slap you in your face. But it's part of our society still, so that's what was happening.
Yes. So now I was like, I'm not, like we remember when we broke up, she was like, yeah, I think we should break up, whatever, how that spiel goes.
Okay.
And then I was like, I did not cry. I was like, hey, okay, are you done? Like, can I go now? Like, okay. Like, I don't want any of my stuff. Just keep it thrown away. Like, I don't care. Like, are we done now?
Okay.
And I was very like straight to the point, very masculine. And I was like, okay, I'm leaving. And so after that, I was like, I would not cry, and I didn't cry. And so I was like, I need to cover it up with something. And so I was like, I need to do something. That's how I mask my feelings. I make myself busy. And so I was like, I'm going to go to Barnes & Nobles and go get a bunch of books and start reading. So I got Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I got Mein Kampf from Hitler. I didn't read it yet. I still haven't. But after I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because it was a way shorter book, it just changed my mind. I was like, oh, how do I think? How do I make money? What category am I in? If you guys read that book, have you read that book?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah. And that's the one that actually started, the wheels.
I think that book helped me make $40,000. It's a story for another later. Yeah. I'll tell you about that later. So, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it made you think about how you think.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, I don't want to be like, I don't want to be a middle class anymore. Like, I want to get to a higher level. And so then I just started reading more books and started like listening to more podcasts instead of music. And literally that's all I've been doing. And then just recently, my life is just wild. I feel it's in a really good spot, and it's just like I don't know. I don't know if a lot of people are spiritual, but I'm very spiritual, and like people have gifts. I don't know if people believe in that. I don't know if people believe in that, stuff like that. So I'm just like learning about all these like vibrations and how people are on certain wavelengths, kind of like your audio here.
Yep.
And it's super interesting that I try not to judge people because we're all learning life differently, so we all see the world differently.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't get mad at somebody trying to tell me their perspective. If I have a different one, it's like, okay, like I don't know what to say because I'm not trying to correct people, but it's like they're just living a different experience than I am, and they're learning different things than I am.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. So, okay, it's interesting because in your podcast you asked me about like what was this thing that happened, and I kind of shared my story about 2 years ago and how it's interesting to me that it takes something hard. And if it was easy, no one would do it. No one would make the change, right? Had you not had that breakup, do you think that you would be where you are today? Okay.
No, it had to happen. Like
Yeah.
a lot, and it sucks that a lot of us are like that, and I was in the same boat. That something bad has to happen for us to change.
Yeah.
And it's like, why change through heartbreak when you can change in a good area? Instead of going to like the doctor and it's like, oh, you know you have cancer now, and it's like, what the heck, dude? Like, oh, now I want to change. Like, it's too late now. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
I think it's something to think about. I don't think that it would stick for a lot of us. I don't think it would have stuck for me if it wasn't as painful as it was for some of my stuff that I've been through. Right? Like, I don't know if this is how you relate to it, but if it wasn't as hurtful as it was and as hard for you to process your feelings as it was, maybe you wouldn't have gotten that book. I wouldn't have gone on my first walk if it wasn't as painful. So I think that can be comforting for people. Like, if you have really hard stuff, like, use it to be better. I'm reading right now, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Have you read that?
such a good book. That book. Oh my, that's the ultimate story.
So I'm not done. So don't, but I listened for 40 minutes and I had to stop for a week and a half because I was like, I don't know if I can emotionally handle this right now. Like, I don't know, like something triggered me. But anyway, if you read his book, he'll talk about the same thing, like really bad things happening. And then all of a sudden he's looking in the mirror and he makes a decision. All of a sudden you are looking at your life. You have this experience where you're hanging yourself in your closet. I don't know if that was the like tipping point for you where you like make that decision to change, but you can always make that decision to change. I have a question back to that point when you decided to change behavior, change your thinking, and kind of shift your mindset. Did you go recruit new friends? What did you do with your friends?
Oh, I remember the exact moment. I was like, let's go do something, and they're like, okay. And this is when I was younger, like after I stopped cutting myself, I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. So like 2009ish. So I was just like, let's go do something. Let's go eat. I want to go eat. And they're like, okay. So they're like, but we need to come over here and go pick everyone else up. And I was like, all right, let's go pick them up. And so we went to their house, and then like we just sat down, and we were watching like ESPN or something. And they were like, all right, we're gonna go smoke. And I don't like to do that. And so I was just like, no, you guys go ahead. And they're like, okay. And then I was just sitting there in the living room, and they were like, we were just all watching ESPN. And then I was just like, are we gonna go eat? And they're like, making excuses about not going to leave the house. And I was like, I literally just stopped and looked at my friends, and I was like, I'm never gonna be in this position again. After today, this is it. And so I hung out with them a little bit longer, but then after that day, I stopped hanging out with them, and I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And so, then I went into high school, and so, as you do, you separate because of high school, go to different schools and all that stuff. And then after I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I didn't really hang out with a lot of people, and my friends were going out to college, and I was staying home.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I felt very lonely. I feel like I had no one to talk to, that was that didn't like the things that I liked.
Yeah.
So I felt very alone.
Yeah.
And so then I started looking at different accounts, like people's accounts here in Salt Lake, and how people that were like reading or doing things, or like if I was looking at your page when I was younger, I'd be like, dude, she's freaking killing it, dude. Like, because you're just documenting everything. And I was like, dude, how do you do all this stuff? Like, I would have so many questions, like, That's crazy. Like, I would find that so inspirational, and I still do. Like, it's so cool. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't realize what you're doing, but it's keep going, keep going. So
you were reaching out and kind of like you're looking for your people.
yes, I was searching, and then finally somebody reached out, and then like we met up, and I was like, oh my gosh, this person is on my level. Like, they want to do different things with their life, and I was like, yes, like let's go work out and all that stuff. And then but then it turned out that they were like almost like trying to how do I say it? Recruit me for like an MLM or something, and I was just like, oh my god. And, and I went because I was like, I at least need to find people like me.
I have people sliding into my DMs sometimes, and I'm like, are you really trying to be my friend? Because I had a whole thing on making friends a few months ago. Or are you trying to get me to sign up for your MLM? Like, that literally has gone through my mind. Yes. Okay, but did you find your people? Like, have you found some? Are you working on it? Like, what's that looking like now? Like, so you were reaching out to people on Instagram trying to like find some people.
Yeah, and I was just like, talking and stuff and messaging them, but nothing like stuck. Like when you find somebody, like you stick to them.
Yeah.
And so actually, I didn't find. There's this kid. His name's Sebastian. He's like one of my best friends now. He went to my high school and he was on my soccer team for high school, and I thought he was whack.
Yeah.
I was like, this kid's whack, dude. Like, who is this guy? I thought he was a nobody. And so later in the future, when I was trying to find my friends and stuff, like I was listening to Gary Vee now, like listening to him and all that stuff. Yeah. And my brother, he was like, dude, look at this kid's page. And at the time, he was traveling for like his company that he worked for at the time. Uh-huh. And I was like, what? This kid's younger than me. Like, he can't be doing that. Like, that's not allowed. Like, he's not older than me. Like, he can't do that. And my freaking ego was like through the roof. And so I was like, that's so dumb. And so I was like, all right, I'll follow him. And then all of a sudden we followed each other on Snapchat. And I posted something about Gary Vee. And then he was like, dude, you like Gary? And I was like, yeah, dude, I'm like his disciple, dude. Yeah. So we met up at a coffee shop and I took a picture of us. And that's the first picture that we took together. Yeah. And from then on, we just started clicking. And that's who I started doing like the crepe business, the eBay flipping, the Amazon affiliate marketing. Like I just started doing all those things with him because we really, really... we're like following the word of Gary Vee, Let me get on my knees and like start praying. But like that's how I felt. Yeah. And so he was like my dad almost. Yeah. And so we started, I was getting into Gary Vee. I was getting into him more. Like we were really.
Well, Gary Vee could have been one of your people. Like I think so if you're having a hard time finding your people, which I have a whole thing on like making friends right now and trying to surround yourself with people, which I said on your podcast, like, be really mindful of your top 5. If you have no one, there's podcasts and people you can listen to that can kind of be your people. Like Gary Vee's definitely one of my people that like I had a positive mindset before him, I think, but he brought a whole bunch of understanding and empathy and regret, like all those concepts to me. So I just think for people who maybe are struggling with that, like, oh, I can't find my 5 people, like they're out there. Just find someone you resonate and listen to them, and then find your actual people. So what's his name again? Your buddy? Sebastian. So you got Gary Vee, you got Sebastian.
So I found him, and I was actually his best man at his wedding, so that was really cool.
Nice, that's so cool.
Yeah, so shout out to Sebastian. And then I started. I forgot. Oh, I was part of a. What is that called when you're like getting people together and you're like. I forgot what it was called. I can't think of what it was called, but it was a group event where we were a Super Santa type of thing. Okay. And so we were like, we got a bunch of presents and a food. We rented out a part of a restaurant for a family. Okay. And I met this one guy, Derek, and he was like, I feel like we need to connect. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like he was
gonna talk to me about your MLM.
I know, and he was super spiritual. So I was just like, okay, get out of here, like whatever. I was all about work, right? And he wasn't. He was just like, whatever is gonna come is gonna come, And I was like, what does that mean? Yeah. So we met up, and then I don't know, we connected, and then he showed me a lot of things, and I showed him a lot of things, and now now I still have him, and. Yeah, there's like my 2 main people, and even my lady now. That's how I met my lady, and it's just so crazy now. Yeah. Like I only have like those 3 people in my life, and that's it. And that's what, when people ask me, who do you hang out with? I'm like, hang out with?
Yeah. What is this hang out?
Yeah, what is that?
Seriously, that's. Oh, we could spend a whole thing on this too. So I have like a whole highlight bubble. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it, but the highlight bubble on my gram right now is called Tinder for Friends. Because I did this like 5-story rant. I'm like, why is it so difficult to make friends? But like, it just requires effort. But it's so important. The point is, it's so important to have those people that you surround yourself with. Like Ethan and I, that's been one of the relationships I'm so grateful for, because like when you find someone that's wired very similarly and doing the same things that you're doing, it makes it less lonely, because entrepreneurship is very, very lonely. Like have you experienced this yet? Like how lonely it is just like doing it all yourself. I don't know if you've had that experience yet or at all, but that's been mine. Like, because you're the one that's responsible for everything. Everything's your fault. The numbers are going up or down because of you. And so that's like hard on like your self-worth, but like having that person to be like, that can relate really. And meeting other business owners or entrepreneur or like-minded people or spiritual people, however you are, like very similar, that you can connect with and just like vent to or get uplifted by, is so important. So be mindful of your top 5 for sure. So I have a couple more questions and we'll wrap up. And I thank you so much for your time. This has been so freaking fun. So you have overcome some difficulties just like anyone. And it seems like if we could sum up some of the things, if someone's going through something similar, if they're scared to start their business, if they're in a bad place mentally, to me, it seems like what you had said that were kind of like your lessons, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, correct me, is, reading good books, surrounding yourself with good people, and kind of making that decision just to like put yourself in a better place. It seems like is what you did, because you were kind of like, I'm not going to hang out with these people again, or I'm not going to be in this situation again, or like one day I'm just not going to do that. What else would you say are like, the top 3 things that have gotten you to where you are? Because from listening to your podcast and talking to you, you seem very happy with where you are, continuing to grow, right? But like kind of looking on your past, like, well, I can't believe I did that, which I have many of those, like, oh, I can't believe I acted like that, or I can't believe I did that thing, or I can't believe I said that thing. We all have that. But like, what have been the top 3 contributors, do you think, to that, to like getting where you are right now and being in that good place, that you're brave enough to go start your business, that you're in a relationship that you're happy with, that you're surrounding yourselves with good people, and just like trying to inspire others? Like, that's such a huge thing. Like, you're trying to make a bigger impact than just yourself. So what would you say top 3 from where you were to where you are now that helped you get here?
I would say that learn to understand that it's okay to be alone, and that you're actually never alone because you're with yourself. So, and that's probably, I don't know if that's really deep if you think about it, because your thoughts you are not your thoughts.
Damn, have you read A New Earth? Have you read A New Earth yet? The book. I'm getting chills. You are not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. That phrase has gotten me through very difficult moments the last 5 or 6 weeks, and I heard it from that book first, like really sunk in. A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Okay, keep going though. You are not your thoughts. That's huge.
You are not your thoughts, and I would say, I don't want to take Nike's thing, but just do it. Just do it. Like, literally, you'll learn along the way. I was so scared. I remember when I launched my clothing brand, I got so happy. I was like, it's live, it's out. And then like 5 minutes, somebody ordered a shirt, and I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then that's where the happiness ended, because I was like, I don't know how to use my printer.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh God. Yeah. So I literally spent 45 minutes trying to figure out just to print one stupid label.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, half of it would come out, or like it would be too big. And I was like, no. And I had a bunch of, I think I took a picture of like a bunch of stickers that came out all wrong. And I just stuck them on this box, like boom, boom, boom. And I took a picture, and I was like, I just cannot figure it out. Yeah. And there was no one doing what I was doing, because I had no friends at that time. And I was like, I'll just figure it out. And so I YouTubed it. I went to YouTube University, or whatever you want to call it. I Googled it, and I just figured it out. Like,
Just did it.
you just figure it out, and it's okay. Yeah. And yeah.
I love that. I love the way that I say that is, I started telling myself just go. Like, it's raining outside, you need to go get your workout in. Like, just go. just do it. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll just send you this guy that I follow. He's like runs every day, literally, and it doesn't matter if it's raining, snowing, whatever. And I just look at him like, whoa, he's literally running in the like snow, like so much snow, and I'm like, what the heck? So I'll just send it to you, but it's so cool.
Love it. Well, tell everyone where they can find you. I hope this can be like one of 2 or 3 episodes. I hope you'll come back because I think we could dive into some other things and some tactical things. But tell everyone where they can find you and Six Lions.
So I'm basically, if you just follow my personal Instagram, I have a link tree there. You can follow literally from my Spotify playlist to my vlogging, or everything's on there. So it's Cris, CRIS _ Squall, SQUAL, and on there it'll be my website to my clothing brand, my literally everything, and my clothing brand obviously is Six Lions Clothing, and that's it.
Awesome, cool. Well, we'll link it here too. We'll put it in the video. Thank you so much. It's been like, I could talk to you for another 3 hours.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
But thank you so much, and we will do another one, and I'm so excited, and I'm gonna go buy some shirts.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.